Lieutenant Jake Morrison leaned back in his captain's chair aboard the USS Valor. A grin plastered across his face. The hum of the ship's engines was a comforting backdrop to the banter of his crew as they monitored their sensors for anything out of the ordinary in the Andromeda sector. Jake was your typical human officer. Confident, sarcastic, and always ready for a challenge. "Hey, check this out," crewman Theo shouted from the navigation console, his eyes wide in disbelief. The room quieted as everyone turned towards him. "What is it, Theo? Don't keep us in suspense," Jake said, leaning forward. Theo tapped a few buttons, and a holographic image materialized in the center of the room. It displayed a vibrant alien world with lush greenery and brilliant colors that seemed to pulse with energy. "We just received a holo message from the Kalari. They want us to attend their Festival of the Stars." "The Kalari?" Jake furrowed his brow, trying to recall the details he had learned during his training. "Are they the ones known for that crazy ritual dance?" "You mean the one where they literally dance with the stars?" Lieutenant Sarah Keene, his second-in-command, chimed in, chuckling. "I think so. What, you think they're throwing a rave or something? More like a sacred ceremony to celebrate their myths." Theo added excitedly. "But you know how it is. They wouldn't mind some entertaining foreign guests, especially if we're human. And we bring the party." Jake shot back, a grin spreading across his face. This could finally be my chance to show off some moves. Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You mean the moves you usually bust out at company parties? Your two-step isn't exactly cutting-edge, Jake." "Hey, it worked for me last time," he retorted, crossing his arms defiantly. "Maybe they'll be impressed. Who wouldn't want to see a human shaking it on their sacred stage?" "Let's make sure you actually understand what this ceremony is about," Sarah warned, her tone suddenly serious. "It's not just a dance competition, it has deep cultural significance to them." "Feels like we're overthinking this," Jake replied with a wave of his hand. "I'll just check it out, maybe flirt a little, and leave them wanting more. How about I put the fest in festival?" "Just don't screw it up," she replied, her gaze softening. It was always a gamble with Jake, but there was something about his reckless charm that endeared him to the crew. "We don't want to be seen as disrespectful." Theo chimed in again. "Can I come? I'd love to see you embarrass yourself." "Careful, Theo. I might need someone to carry my beer," Jake shot back, smirking. "You can be my hype man." As they prepared for the jump, Jake found a quiet moment in his quarters, his mind racing with anticipation. He stared at the holocube that held the invitation, replaying the Kalari ambassador's mesmerizing words. It was an invitation to understand their culture, their traditions. Just then, his comms buzzed. "Lieutenant Morrison, we're exiting warp," Sarah's voice came through the speaker. "On my way," Jake responded. When he arrived on the bridge, he saw the Kalari planet ahead, stunning in its brilliance. Flora appeared vibrant hues of emerald and teal, and wisps of sparkling energy danced in the atmosphere like stars themselves. "Whoa," Jake breathed, his eyes wide. "Just wait until you meet Lyra," Sarah teased, a knowing smile on her face. "The Kalari ambassador. She's supposed to be stunning." "Stunning?" Jake snorted. "I'm just here for the dance-off and maybe some alien snacks." As they landed, he couldn't shake the excitement bubbling in his gut. "Okay, team. Let's make sure we make a good impression. No screw-ups, remember, we're representing humanity." Stepping onto the alien soil, Jake was struck by the sensorial overload. Aromas of exotic spices wafted through the air as multicolored lights danced amongst the trees. He spotted Kalari figures clad in flowing robes, their limbs graceful and elegant as they moved to an unheard melody. "Relax. They seem friendly," Sarah assured him, spotting his apprehension. In the center of a great plaza stood a raised platform adorned with intricate carvings and shimmering crystals. Around it, clusters of Kalari were already gathering, their eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Here we go," Jake said, adjusting his jacket. "Time to charm the extraterrestrials." As they approached, a Kalari woman, resplendent with vibrant blue skin and luminescent hair, stepped forward. Her eyes were bright and conveyed a deep wisdom. "Welcome, human guests," Lyra said, her voice melodic and inviting. "I am Lyra, ambassador of the Kalari people. We are honored by your presence." Jake extended his hand, eager to shake hers. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison, at your service. I have to say, we're thrilled to be here. Your festivals are legendary." Lyra smiled, and her gaze flickered over to Sarah and Theo. "And are these two your companions?" "Absolutely. My crew is the best," Jake replied, sensing a rush of energy. "What can we expect? Is there a specific code of conduct, or can we just freestyle?" Lyra's laughter floated in the air. "Ah, you are brimming with enthusiasm. The Festival of the Stars is indeed sacred, filled with stories etched in dance. There are traditions you must honor, but I sense you are capable of great creativity. Jake winked at Sarah. Did you hear that? Creativity. I'm basically an artist. We'll let your ego handle that, she muttered under her breath, rolling her eyes. Come, Lyra beckoned, leading them through the crowd. Let me show you our customs before the festival begins. As they moved deeper into the throng of Kalari, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Jake couldn't help but feel the energy flow between them, a sense of unity that transcended language and tradition. Sarah fell into step beside him while Theo chatted up some local Kalari, entirely oblivious to the growing tension in the air. This is going to be epic, Jake whispered to Sarah, unable to contain his excitement. Just remember what I said, she replied, her voice cautious but warm. Respect their ways, and maybe we'll leave with our dignity intact. With every step, Jake felt a strange exhilaration. The stage was set not merely for a dance-off, but for something far more profound. Whether he was ready for what lay ahead couldn't quite say. But if there was one thing he knew, it was that he was going to enjoy every moment of the ride. Chapter 2: Cultural Misunderstanding. The plaza was alive with vibrant energy as Jake, Sarah, and Theo followed Lyra through the Kalari crowd. Colorful tents adorned the periphery, filled with exotic foods, glowing decorations, and creatures of all shapes and sizes milling about. Jake couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement coursing through him. Look at this place, he said, his voice barely audible above the thrumming pulse of the lively crowd. It's like a festival from a movie. And you thought it was just a dance competition? Sarah teased, nudging him with her elbow. Hey, I'm versatile, Jake grinned. He playfully waved at a passing Kalari couple who returned the gesture with wide smiles, clearly amused by the human's presence. Every festival has its own meaning, Lyra explained as they approached a colorful stage draped with shimmering fabrics. But the Festival of the Stars is particularly significant. It represents our connection to the cosmos and each other. Stars, cosmos, yep, I'm ready for some serious dancing, Jake replied, barely holding back his enthusiasm. I got some moves that will make your stars want to twirl. Just remember, Sarah cautioned again, this isn't an intergalactic dance-off. It has consequences. So, what is the first part of this sacred ceremony? Theo asked, his eyes alight with curiosity. Lyra turned, a knowing smile on her face. We will begin with a storytelling dance. It tells of our origins, our struggles, and our unity. Each movement carries meaning. Follow me and I'll show you. As they approached the stage, Jake's pulse quickened. This wasn't just about rhythm and flair, there was gravity here that he hadn't fully grasped. He caught sight of other Kalari gathering, dressed in stunning array, their faces filled with anticipation. So, basically a dance of the ancestors kind of situation? Jake asked, hoping his humor would lighten the atmosphere. Something like that, Lyra replied, her smile fading slightly as she led them onto the platform. You might want to listen closely to the movements and the narrative they portray. Jake nodded, suddenly aware that he needed to pay attention. The Kalari began moving with fluid grace, intertwining their bodies in a series of expressive gestures. Lyra gestured for Jake, Sarah, and Theo to follow her lead. Watch closely, she instructed, her voice calm and reassuring. Feel the rhythm. Jake tried to mirror the movements of Lyra and the other dancers, but he couldn't shake the awkwardness plaguing him. His hips swayed too wide, and he twirled when he should have shifted weight. The sight brought laughter from the audience, but it felt encouraging rather than mocking. Just breathe, big guy, Sarah called out from behind. Act like no one's watching. Well, except for the entire Kalari population. Thanks for the moral support. Jake grinned but continued to trip over his own feet. Theo burst out laughing. I think you just created a new dance genre, the stumbling human. Maybe not a genre, but definitely a unique interpretation, Jake quipped back, red-faced but reveling in the energy. After the initial freeze, Lyra moved beside Jake, providing a guiding hand. Here, try this movement. It flows from the core. Feel the connection with the earth beneath you. Jake nodded, focusing intently on her words. He mimicked her movement, drawing strength from the ground, and suddenly the steps started clicking. That's it, Lyra exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. You are beginning to understand. It's not just the moves, it's the energy. Jake caught a glimpse of Sarah, who smiled approvingly. Look at you. Embracing the cosmic vibe. Encouraged, he attempted to incorporate some of his swagger into the dance, feeling the arcing movements flowing through his body. Rather than trying to outperform, he began to synchronize with the rhythm and grace of the Kalari dancers. The warmth of the atmosphere surrounded him as he became absorbed in the experience. You seem to be getting the hang of it, Lyra remarked, gratitude in her voice. Your willingness means a lot to our people. I just wanted to make sure I stood out, Jake joked, catching her gaze for a split second. You know, outshine the stars. As the dance progressed, Jake found himself smiling more genuinely, the nervousness giving way to a sense of bonding. Suddenly, the rhythms shifted, signaling a new chapter in the dance. Lyra said, "Now we will enact our celestial bond, the ties that connect our people across galaxies." Jake, intrigued, followed her lead, mimicking the intricate patterns as they wove together the narrative through motion. The audience leaned in, captivated by the interplay of colors and movements. He felt he was not merely moving but becoming one with the spirit of the festival. A loud cheer erupted from the crowd as they concluded the storytelling dance, and Jake felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. "You did well, Lieutenant," Sarah said, clapping him on the shoulder. "You didn't butcher it." "Thanks, I think." Jake replied with a laugh. He noticed the glimmer of pride in Lyra's eyes and felt something stir in his chest. "Now, we must engage in the next part of the festival," Lyra began, her demeanor shifting to a more serious tone. "We will celebrate with food and share stories of our worlds. This acts as a bridge to truly connect." "Food? Now you're talking my language. What delicacies do you have?" Jake enthused. "Well, we have a tradition of sharing dishes that carry our history, but you may also experience some unusual flavors," Lyra cautioned. "Not all will be to your taste, but every dish tells a story." Jake's stomach growled audibly at that moment, making everyone laugh. "Please tell me it involves meat. A good steak gets me every time." "We have something for your palate and much more," Lyra assured, leading them off the stage. As they descended from the platform, Theo turned to Jake. "So, you might want to keep your dance moves at home, huh?" "Not at all. You all saw how well I handled that." Jake shot back with confidence. "You're just jealous of my moves. More likely we're jealous of your ability to make a fool of yourself while having a good time," Sarah said, rolling her eyes. "Touché," Jake conceded, chuckling along with the group as they made their way to the food tent. The vibrant scents wafting through the air captivated him. Different dishes were displayed, some with luminous colors and others radiating an unusual glow. He reached for a dish piled with bright, glistening fruit. "What is this?" he asked curiously. "Verdashian fruit. It's sweet and tangy," Lyra said, smiling brightly. "Let's hope it doesn't explode in my mouth," Jake joked, taking a cautious bite. His eyes widened with delight. "Whoa, this is fantastic. Good to know your palate agrees," Lyra laughed. As they continued to share food, stories flowed like the rivers of light swirling around the Kalari. Jake realized that the rapport they were building was more profound than he had anticipated. Lyra shared tales of her people and the many cycles of their lives, and Jake found solace in her laughter and wisdom. The night deepened, and Jake felt a growing connection with Lyra. Their exchanges, touches, and smiles illuminated the darkness. He couldn't help but wonder how a moment had transformed from playful banter to something much more meaningful. In that starlit moment, surrounded by laughter and shared stories, Jake felt that perhaps something extraordinary was beginning to unfold, something he never saw coming. Maybe this wasn't merely about a festival. Perhaps it was a journey that would lead to understanding, connection, and something he had always longed for. Chapter 3: The Dance of Origins. The festival atmosphere enveloped Jake and his crew as they settled into the vibrant encampment, where laughter and joy filled the air. Lanterns flickered overhead, casting a kaleidoscope of colors that danced along the faces of the Kalari. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the festival blend with the rhythm of his own heartbeat. "Okay, what's next?" he asked Lyra, his excitement bubbling over. "More dancing? More food? I'm all in." "The next part involves the ceremonial dance, which tells the story of our origins," Lyra explained, her eyes gleaming with pride. "It is not just a performance. It is a reenactment of our history and connection to the stars." "Sounds like something truly spectacular," Sarah chimed in, a hint of awe in her voice. "How do we participate? I don't want to mess this one up." "You'll learn the movements as we go along," Lyra reassured her. "I will guide you through. But first, we must gather the community around us." Lyra waved her hands gracefully to summon the neighboring Kalari, who began to congregate. Their interest peaked. As more people gathered, Jake's nerves began to kick in again. "Just act natural," Theo whispered, standing close by. What could go wrong? Famous last words there, Theo, Jake joked, shooting him a sideways glance. Once the audience had formed a semicircle, Lyra spoke. Welcome, friends. Tonight, we will share our essence through movement, a reflection of our people's bond with the universe and each other. Jake felt the weight of her words, even if he didn't fully grasp their meaning yet. Lyra gestured for him to stand alongside her. This will require you, everyone, to embrace unity. Together, we will tell our story. Just like last time, Jake said, trying to maintain his composure. But on a grander scale, I assume? Precisely, Lyra confirmed, her smile reassuring. Follow my lead, and remember to feel the music in your heart. The music began again, softer this time, filled with haunting melodies and ethereal sounds. As Lyra led the dancers, Jake watched her grace and poise, completely captivated. He tried to mimic her movements, but anxiety began creeping back as the stakes felt a lot higher this time. Don't overthink it, Jake. Just let go and have fun. Sarah encouraged from the sidelines, crossing her arms tightly but smiling. Feeling the rhythm soak into his bones, Jake eased into the dance. Lyra guided him with subtle movements, a gentle firmness in her touch that grounded him. As he followed her, focusing less on perfection and more on connection, he sank deeper into the flow of the music. The Kalari joined in, their movements seamlessly intertwining with Jake's as they danced around him. The energy was electric, a palpable force that liberated him and cleared his mind. This isn't half bad, Jake exclaimed, the camaraderie washing over him as laughter filled the space. The movement shifted again, now evoking a narrative. Lyra gestured skyward as she stepped, her body tracing the shape of stars with her arms. Jake watched, fascinated, then launched into the same motion, feeling the freedom within a flicker of uncertainty. Excellent. You're feeling the connection, Lyra called, inspiring him further. Jake grinned, his confidence growing. I might just be the next star dancer. A ripple of laughter flowed through the audience, and he glanced at Sarah, who was struggling to catch up. We're going to have to work on your timing, he joked. Shut it, she retorted, focusing intently on Lyra's movements. I can barely keep up with all this cosmic stuff. As they moved deeper into the dance, the story unfolded. The first stars born from the cosmic void, the struggles their ancestors faced, and their journey to find unity among the galaxies. The Kalari dancers told their history through gestures, each movement layered with significance. Jake felt himself becoming absorbed in the storytelling. The Kalari were not just performing for him, they were inviting him into their shared experience. For the first time, he felt like more than just an observer. Now, we reach the part about our kinship, Lyra directed. Everyone, we will move closer together, embodying the harmony we strive to maintain. Jake noticed the shift. As the Kalari joined in a circle, their movements became synchronized, creating a sense of oneness. He stepped forward, unsure of how to integrate himself into this unity. Jake, come here. Sarah encouraged, gesturing for him to join her by Lyra's side. He complied, positioning himself between them, and upon touching their hands, he felt a surge of warmth, a connection that flowed through him. This is amazing, he whispered. You're getting it, Lyra said, her eyes shining. Embrace the energy. As they spun and twirled, it felt like the universe drew them all closer. Suddenly, Jake found it easy to mirror their movements, realizing that the gestures were not just dance, they held emotions, grief, joy, celebration. Just like that. Lyra laughed, guiding them with melodic words. In unity, we find strength. Jake looked around, noticing the delighted expressions radiating from the Kalari. It clicked, they weren't just performing for him, they welcomed him into their world. The energy became infectious. Into every movement, he tried to engage her more directly, stepping closer as the troupe turned, entwining their limbs in a way that conveyed intimacy and shared experience. This means a lot to you, doesn't it? Jake asked softly, his breath mingling with the aura of the moment. Lyra met his gaze. It does. This dance connects us to everything, ensuring we do not forget where we come from. I never knew dance could feel like this, he admitted, a grin breaking across his face. Who knew I had such hidden talent? Hidden? I'd say it's now blossoming, she teased, and for a moment the connection between them felt more potent. As the music swelled, they took their final positions in a spiral, culminating the storytelling with grand movements. The rhythm propelled them toward a conclusion that felt both joyous and profound. With the final notes resounding, the circle closed, the dancers coalescing into a tight embrace. Jake could feel the warm glow of the Kalari around him, a tangible bond that transcended boundaries. Their joyous laughter echoed in the air as they held each other, an affirmation of shared connection. "Congratulations! You all danced beautifully," Lyra exclaimed, stepping back to address the crowd. The audience erupted into cheers and Jake couldn't help but beam with pride. He turned to Sarah and Theo, whose expressions mirrored his elation. "Well, we survived," Jake declared, breathless with exhilaration. "Speak for yourself." "I thought my legs were going to give out." Sarah chuckled, her face flushed from the effort. "But did you see us out there?" Jake continued, unable to hide his excitement. "We rocked that story." Lyra stepped closer, her gaze warm and appreciative. "You embraced the essence of our dance. Thank you for honoring our traditions." Jake felt his heart flutter slightly. "Thank you for welcoming us. We won't forget this night." "Indeed, it was quite unforgettable," Lyra said, her smile brightening. In that moment, Jake realized they had created something significant together, not just a dance, but a connection that transcended cultures and worlds. The night had become more than a celebration, it was a doorway to understanding and a melding of humanity and Kalari spirit. As the stars shone brightly overhead, Jake felt a sense of wonder about what awaited him and Lyra. The Festival of the Stars had unlocked a new journey, one that he was more than eager to embark upon. Chapter 4: The Bonds of Understanding. After the ceremonial dance, the plaza buzzed with excitement as the Kalari celebrated under the stars. Jake found himself swept along with the energy, a sense of camaraderie enveloping him. Lyra stood nearby, conversing with other Kalari, her presence magnetic. "Look at you, already a star." Theo nudged Jake, inching closer. "Do you think they have an award for best dancer?" Jake laughed, shaking his head. "If they do, I'm definitely not getting it. But who knew staring at the stars could lead to something like this?" "Ah, come on. You were practically glowing out there," Sarah chimed in, her laughter infectious. "You should see the way you moved. I half expected you to start a dance craze." "Maybe the Earthling Shuffle will be the next big thing," Jake joked, waving his arms exaggeratedly. Just then, Lyra walked over, her smile radiant. "You three were splendid. I've never seen such enthusiasm from guests before." "Thanks," Jake replied, his heart racing. "You really know how to throw a festival. I wish we could do this on our own ship." Lyra's curiosity sparked. "What do you celebrate on your ship? Surely there are traditions of your own." "It's usually just us trying to survive another mission," Sarah said with a smirk. "But when we do celebrate, it's mostly just a reason to throw a party. Food, music, dancing." "Yeah, like most of the crew trying to beat the captain at his own game," Theo said, chuckling. "That's usually a disaster." "Speaking of disasters," Jake interjected, "ever take part in intergalactic karaoke?" Lyra's eyes widened. "Karaoke? What is that?" "Ah, it's a human tradition where we sing our hearts out to popular songs. It's not always pretty, but it's incredibly fun," Jake explained, grinning widely. "Every species has its way of bonding," Lyra mused, nodding thoughtfully. "Maybe we should create a Kalari version." "Now that sounds like a challenge," Sarah said, teasingly elbowing Jake. "Just imagine his singing." "Hey!" Jake exclaimed, pretending to be offended. "I'll have you know I can hit some serious high notes." "Oh yeah? Prove it." Theo egged him on. Lyra clapped her hands, a larger crowd gathering in response to the playful banter. "Then let us celebrate further. A night of songs, and if singing is your way, I would love to hear it." Jake's heart raced at the prospect. "You're serious? You want me to sing? Right here? Why not? You have shown such commitment to our traditions. It's only fair you share yours," Lyra insisted, her expression sincere. "All right, but if I'm going to embarrass myself, I need backup," Jake said, raising an eyebrow and casting a look at his friends. "Sarah, Theo, who's in?" Theo shrugged. "I can hold the mic. I mean, I'm a fantastic backing vocalist." Sarah crossed her arms, smirking. "I can do the wow factor. Just be ready to sing well enough to not make me cringe." "What if we made it a duet?" Jake suggested, excitement pouring from him. "You and me, Lyra." Lyra laughed gently, a soft melody that made Jake feel at ease. "A duet? That would be magical." "Yes, I'm in." They moved toward the center of the plaza, where the Kalari had begun to gather, curious smiles and murmurs echoing in anticipation. "Okay, this is happening," Jake said, his courage bolstered by the atmosphere. "Let's pick a song. Any suggestions?" "What about Fly Me to the Moon?" Theo suggested. "You can shoot for the stars and the aliens will probably love it." Jake nodded, his mind already racing through the lyrics. "Not a bad idea, it's classic. And romantic enough to impress Lyra." Lyra raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What does it mean, fly to the moon?" "It's about love and a longing connection," Jake explained, his heart racing, finding unexpected depth in the song choice. Perfect for what we are doing tonight, Lyra said, her smile warm. Let us show them what humanity can offer. Jake felt the thrill of performance surge through him. As the crowd hushed, he grasped Lyra's hand, their fingers entwining. Startled by how easy it felt to connect physically, he glanced around the audience, who looked eager for an entertaining spectacle. All right, let's do this, Jake declared, inhaling deeply. As they launched into the song, the energy shifted palpably, harmonizing with the Kalari's melodic voices. Jake delivered the first lines, managing to channel his nerves into excitement. To his surprise, Lyra's voice blended beautifully with his, her ethereal tones adding an enchanting quality to the melody. He felt the swell of music build around them, and the crowd lit up with joy, swaying in rhythm. The song had its ups and downs, but Jake was truly lost in the moment. With every verse, he and Lyra exchanged glances, affection and energy surging between them. The Kalari joined in, creating their own version of the chorus, a weave of human and Kalari voices blending harmoniously in the night. Wow! Theo shouted midway through. You two have a music career ahead of you. Maybe we should start a band. Jake replied, laughing, their connection growing deeper with every note. Lyra smiled radiantly, her eyes sparkling. The music flowed and echoed across the plaza like starlight, bringing everyone together regardless of their origins. As they hit the climactic finish, cheers erupted from the crowd. Jake could hardly believe the fun they just shared. Who knew you were such a talented singer? Lyra teased him, her hand lingering in his as they stepped back from the center. Did I mention I'm a triple threat? Jake joked, playfully striking a pose. Singer, dancer, and emotional support friend. I cannot wait to see what else you bring to our festival, she replied, her laughter echoing in his ears like music. More dancing for sure, Theo suggested. But maybe less singing from Jake. Hey, Jake protested, though he couldn't help but chuckle. Well, I think we found a way to fuse our cultures tonight, Lyra said, her gaze meeting Jake's with a captivating intensity. As they lingered in conversation, the night deepened and Jake felt a warmth seep into his heart. This experience was turning into something he hadn't expected. A connection somehow blossoming with Lyra. Have you ever considered what your people must think of us? Jake asked, turning serious. I mean, do they feel as though you can connect with us? Many of the Kalari are open-hearted, Lyra shared, her expression thoughtful. Yet there are some who wish to keep their distance. They fear what they don't know. Jake nodded, understanding intertwined with sympathy. I get that. It's the same back home sometimes. People can be wary. Lyra sighed gently. But moments like this help bridge those gaps. Your willingness to share is a light in the darkness. I like to think we have more in common than we know, Jake said, and suddenly, his heart raced at the weight of the moment. Lyra stepped closer, her expression softening. I feel that too, Jake, and it's thrilling. Jake couldn't help but smile back, feeling an undeniable connection. They both shared a moment of silence, understanding swirling unspoken between them. Here's hoping we can create more memories before I head back home, he said, breaking the tension with a smile. Ours is a bond still being molded, Lyra replied, her eyes dancing with possibility. Let us see how it unfolds. Jake nodded, excitement bubbling in his chest as the celebrations continued around them, the stars overhead witnessing their growing connection, an uncharted journey embarking between two worlds. Chapter 5, A New Connection. The Festival of the Stars continued to unfold around Jake and Lyra as starlight shimmered upon the Kalari Plaza. The night air pulsed with excitement, laughter, and the night's earlier melodies. Jake couldn't shake the exhilaration he felt from his performance. The energy that had flowed between him and Lyra felt electric, almost tangible. Do you always celebrate like this? Jake asked, glancing around at the lively crowd engaged in various festivities. Back on Earth, our parties are epic, but this is something special. Lyra turned to him, her eyes sparkling like the stars above. Yes, but only during certain seasons. The Festival of the Stars is our most cherished event, a time for our people to connect with one another and share our stories. That explains a lot, Jake replied, stepping closer. I can feel the warmth and camaraderie here. It's contagious. Your energy adds to it, Lyra said, moving beside him as they walked through the crowd. It's refreshing to see someone embrace our customs so wholeheartedly. Jake laughed. You should see me during karaoke night. I really bring the house down. Maybe we should schedule a duet as our next activity, Lyra suggested playfully. Count me in. But only if you promise to let me pick the song next time, Jake replied, nudging her lightly. Fair enough. What shall it be? She asked, twinkling with humor. Something epic, something that would make aliens want to dance. Jake declared dramatically. Their banter flowed effortlessly, and as Jake looked into Lyra's eyes, a budding friendship began to blossom into something more profound. He pointed out a group of Kalari performing a traditional game involving radiant orbs that danced through the air, weaving in and out among the players. What's that? Jake inquired, intrigued by the playful spectacle. That is the dance of orbs, Lyra explained, her expression growing animated. It's a game that tests agility and timing. Care to join? Only if you show me how to play. Jake exclaimed. I can do a mean dance, but I've never mastered the art of juggling glowing orbs. Then let us give it a try. Lyra said, her energy infectious. As they approached the group, Lyra introduced Jake to the players, who received him with smiles and laughter. An orb, pulsating with color, floated into Jake's hands as he attempted to catch it. Whoa! This thing feels alive. Jake exclaimed, marveling at the sensation. Just follow the rhythm, Lyra instructed, demonstrating a graceful toss of an orb that danced across the air, echoing with laughter. Now you try. With the orb gently tossing back and forth between them, Jake stumbled a bit, managing to throw it a little too high, resulting in a burst of laughter from the surrounding Kalari. Not bad for a first try. Lyra teased, her tone encouraging and playful. Use your core, Jake. Feel the energy. Jake seized the orb again, feeling its weight as he focused on her words. He inhaled deeply, allowing the rhythm of the Kalari to overtake him. Okay. Let's do this. He laughed, darting his eyes in sync with the orb's movement. Now toss it this way, Lyra called. He launched the orb with newfound confidence, and as it sailed through the air, Lyra's dexterity shone as she caught it effortlessly. Success! Jake cheered, pumping his fist. Now we're talking. When do we get to team up? Right now. Lyra declared, intertwining their fingers together, a spark igniting. We'll toss back and forth. You'll see how it flows. With a few more rounds of laughter and playful banter, they caught orbs in tandem, their movements synchronizing beautifully. Suddenly, Jake felt a rush of exhilaration wash over him, amplified by Lyra's contagious spirit. See, you are a natural, Lyra exclaimed, her voice bubbling with pride. You just needed to feel it. Thanks. I don't know if I'd ever have imagined juggling glowing orbs with aliens on my to-do list, Jake replied, grinning widely. And look how much fun you're having, Lyra said. Let's do this then. As the competition continued, they began to attract attention. The Kalari cheered while others joined in, creating a vibrant atmosphere of camaraderie. With each passing moment, Jake noticed how effortlessly their fingers intertwined. It felt as though they were weaving a bond even as they tossed orbs back and forth. All right, back to the challenge, Lyra encouraged, her eyes twinkling. Let's do something exciting. A fellow Kalari motioned for them to step back. He raised his hand, and the orbs shot into the sky, illuminating the darkness with bright spirals of light. As they arced down, Jake and Lyra caught their orbs in perfect unison. Now, this feels like teamwork. Jake laughed, exhilaration boiling within him. Exactly. You're getting it, Lyra replied, beaming. Let's see how many we can catch together. They tossed the orbs in synchronization, laughter bubbling between them as they successfully grabbed each glowing projectile, creating a rhythm that echoed the heart of the festival. After a whirlwind of tossing orbs, their hands finally met as they clutched the last orb together, panting heavily from the exertion but beaming with delight. The Kalari erupted into cheers. Who knew I'd have so much fun juggling? Jake said, leaning in closer to Lyra, catching her breath. Suddenly, the air felt charged as he met her gaze. This bond, it's beyond words, isn't it? Lyra said, her voice dropping slightly. Jake nodded slowly. It's like we're tapping into something that feels ancient yet new at the same time. Exactly, Lyra replied, barely a whisper as the world around them faded slightly. It's a connection, one that transcends distances. Their hearts raced as they lingered, their fingers briefly brushing against one another. Jake took the bold step, gently tucking a strand of hair behind Lyra's ear. I've never felt quite like this before, he confessed, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Neither have I, she said, her smile warm and inviting. It's as if the universe conspired to bring us together. A moment hung in the air between them, charged with possibility. They both leaned closer, the crowd around them fading into a soft backdrop of lights and laughter. What if Jake hesitated for a moment, feeling a rush of courage? What if we continue to explore this connection? There's so much of your world I want to discover. Lyra's eyes widened with surprise. You would want to learn about us? Our traditions? Absolutely. I want to know everything, he replied earnestly. From your stories to your customs, I want to immerse myself in your culture. Then let's create new experiences together. Lyra said with enthusiasm, a smile breaking across her face. I want to show you our festivals, our history. In return, you must teach me more about your world. Deal? Jake exclaimed, clasping their hands firmly together. I've got plenty of stories and even crazier traditions to share. Lyra laughed, the sound resonating warmly in his heart. I look forward to it. This will become a beautiful exchange. As they retreated from the bustling crowd, the festival lights continued to twinkle in the distance. They walked side by side, fingers entwined, feeling the magnetic pull of possibility weaving their paths together. I can't believe we're doing this, Jake said, glancing at her. I started out just wanting to dance and eat alien food, and now you're opening your heart to a galaxy of wonders, Lyra finished, her gaze unwavering. That is the beauty of connection. They stepped into a quieter area of the plaza, still swirling and bright, where the stars glimmered like promises above them. Jake caught Lyra's gaze, curiosity dancing in her eyes. Do you really think this can go somewhere? Jake asked, his tone serious now. I believe it already has, Lyra said softly. This connection is unique, something rare. We are drawn to each other. Then let's not waste this opportunity, Jake replied, determination flooding his voice. Let's explore what this could mean. Lyra smiled, the warmth of her expression igniting excitement within him. Together, we can forge new paths beyond the boundaries of our worlds. As they stood beneath the cascade of stars, Jake felt the night settle over them, enveloping them in a world of infinite potential. He took a deep breath, invigorated by the possibilities that lay ahead. In that moment, Jake realized that what had begun as a simple festival had evolved into a moment of profound significance, an intertwined journey that could change everything.